Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to Storytime Live for Friday, the 3rd of April. Before we start, I just want, if you can put a thumbs up in the chat to let me know that you can hear me okay, that would be really awesome. So I don't want to have to go through the whole lot and all you hear is that kind of sound going. So if you could just give me a thumbs up in the chat or say, yes, I can hear you, that would be really awesome. So hopefully everyone can hear me here. No one seems to be sending anything through at the moment, so I will assume that everything is all good. All right. Oh, well, we'll get started today. We are going to be reading for our younger kids, The Little Yellow Digger. Oh, yep, here we go on book, and it is, won the Platinum Award for the amount of sales and obviously its popularity. So it's quite a cool one. So we'll read this first, and then we'll get back into reading more of the Twits. So here we go. In the next door garden, they were digging out a drain when the weather turned quite nasty, and it poured and poured with rain. The garden got so muddy, and the little digger stuck. And so they sent another digger, and it really was bad luck that it slid upon the mud in the wind and the rain and fell upon its side in the half-dug drain. So they got a bigger digger, but the bigger digger stuck. And then a bigger digger was brought up on a truck. It was huge and it was heavy. And you guessed it, it got stuck. Now, the next door garden, slowly sinking in the ground, was the little yellow digger with its wheels spinning round and a digger on its side in the half-dug drain with the bigger red digger, which had ropes and a chain, and the bigger digger, all shining in the rain. They were sunk down deep with the bright red truck deep down in the mud, and all of them stuck. Then the drivers had a meeting, and they said they wouldn't stay, but promised they'd come back when the rain had gone away. And only 2 days later, the wind blew brisk and dry, and the sun shone very brightly from the blue and cloudless sky. The mud dried hard as concrete, so when the men came back, the bigger digger was still stuck upon the track. They couldn't make its engine turn the wheels around. The mud had hardened around it and trapped it in the ground. Drain. Not having much luck, are they? But the little yellow digger was standing on firm ground. They managed now to start it, and the wheels turned around. It was the little yellow digger that pulled the digger from the drain. And they both together pulled the bigger digger with its chain. Then all three pulled together. With a clatter and a thud, the bigger digger rumbled up out of the mud. So the bigger digger and its truck went back, and they drove the other diggers home along the track. But the little yellow digger stayed to finish off the drain. It helped to make a driveway that would stay hard in the rain. And often we remember those diggers and the truck and how it rained in all the mud and everything got stuck. And actually, this was based on a true story of what happened to someone's over their fence. So it's always great when you got stories that are about real things that happen in New Zealand. All right, we're going to continue on with the Twits. So far, we've learned about the monkeys, about the gun, about the boys, about the bird pie. So now, the roly-poly bird to the rescue. Mugglethump and his family longed to escape from the cage in Mr. Twit's garden and go back to the African jungle where they came from. They hated Mr. and Mrs. Twit for making their lives so miserable. They also hated them for what they did to birds every Tuesday and Wednesday. Fly away, birds! They used to shout, jumping about in the cage and waving their arms. Don't sit on the big dead tree! It's just been smeared all over with sticky glue. Go and sit somewhere else. But these were English birds, and they couldn't understand the weird African language the monkeys spoke. So they took no notice and went on using the big dead tree and getting caught for bird pie. Then one day, a truly magnificent bird flew down out of the sky and landed on the monkey cage. Good heavens! Cried all the monkeys together. It's the roly-poly bird! What are you doing? On earth are you doing here in England, roly-poly bird? Like the monkeys, the roly-poly bird came from Africa, and he spoke the same language as they did. I've come for an holiday, said the roly-poly bird. I like to travel. He fluffed his marvellous coloured feathers and looked down rather grandly at the monkeys. For most people, he went on, flying away on holiday is very expensive, but I can fly anywhere in the world for nothing. Do you know how to toy? Said Mugglewump. Today is Tuesday, and over there you can already see the revolting Mr. Twit up the ladder, painting sticky glue on all the branches of the big dead tree. This evening when the birds come to roost, you must warn them not to perch on the tree, or they'll be made into bird pie. That evening, the roly-poly bird flew round and round the dead tree, singing out, There's sticky stuff all over the tree. If you land in the branches, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in hot bird pie. The next chapter, No Bird Pie for Mr. Twit. The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket to snatch all the birds from the big dead tree, there wasn't a single one on it. They were all sitting on top of the monkey cage. The roly-poly bird was there as well, and Mugglewump and his family were inside the cage, and the whole lot were laughing at Mr. Twit. Still no bird pie for Mr. Twit. Mr. Twit wasn't going to wait another week for his bird pie supper. He loved bird pie. It was his favourite meal, so that very same day he went after the birds again. This time he smeared all the top of the bars of the monkey cage with sticky glue, as well as the branches of the big dead one you sit on. The monkeys crouched inside the cage, watching all this. And later on, when the roly-poly bird came swooping in for an evening chat, they shouted, Don't land on the cage, roly-poly bird! It's covered in sticky glue! So is the tree! And that evening, as the sun went down and all the birds came in again to roost, the roly-poly bird flew around and round the monkey cage and the big dead tree, singing out his warning, There's sticky stuff now on the cage and the tree. If you land on either, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in hot bird pie. Mr. Twit and Mrs. Twit go off to buy guns. I don't think they're very happy about this. The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket, and not a single bird was sitting on either the monkey cage or the big dead tree, they were all perched happily on the roof of Mr. Twit's house. The roly-poly bird was up there as well, and the monkeys were in the cage, and the whole lot of them were hooting with laughter at Mr. Twit. Well, wipe that silly laugh off your beaks, Mr. Twit screamed at the birds. I'll get you next time, you filthy feathery frumps. I'll wring your necks, the whole lot of you, you bubbling in a pot of bird pie before the day is out. There's all the birds having a good laugh. How are you going to do that? Asked Mrs. Twit, who had come outside to see what all the noise was about. I won't have you smearing sticky glue all over the roof of our house. Mr. Twit got very excited. I've got a great idea, he cried. He didn't bother to keep his voice down because he didn't think the monkeys could understand. We'll both go into town right away and we'll buy a gun each, he shouted. How's that? Brilliant, cried Mrs. Twit, grinning and showing her long yellow teeth. We'll buy those big shotguns and spray about 50 bullets or more with each bang. Exactly, said Mr. Twit. Lock up the house while I go and make sure the monkeys are safely shut away. Mr. Twit went over to the monkey cage. Attention, he barked in his fearsome monkey trainer's voice. Upside down, all of you, and jump to it, up on top of one another. Quick, get on with it, or you'll feel Mrs. Twit stick across your backsides. Obediently, the poor monkeys stood on their hands and clambered one on top of the other, with Mugglewump at the bottom and the smallest child at the very top. Now stay here till I come back, Mr. Twit ordered. Don't you dare move and don't overbalance. When we return in 2 or 3 hours' time, I'll expect to find you in exactly the same position as you are now. You understand? With that, Mr. Twit marched away. Mrs. Twit went with him, and the monkeys were left alone with the birds. Mugglewump has an idea. And there they are balancing like that. And you'd think that if the monkeys have got any sense, as soon as they're gone, I'm pretty sure that they'll hop down again. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Twit had disappeared down the road, here we go, the monkeys all flipped back onto their feet the right way up. Quick, get the key, Uncle Mugglewump called out to the roly-poly bird who was sitting on the roof of the house. What key? Shouted the roly-poly bird. The key to the door of our cage, cried Mugglewump. It's hanging on a nail in the workshed. That's where he always puts it. The roly-poly bird flew down and came back with the key in his beak. Mugglewump reached a hand through the bars of the cage and took the key. He put it in the lock and turned it. The door opened. All four monkeys leapt out together. We're free! Cried the two little ones. Where shall we go, Dad? Where shall we hide? Don't get excited, said Mugglewump. Calm down, everyone. Before we escape from this beastly place, we have to do one important thing to do. What? They asked him. We're going to turn those terrible twits upside down. You're going to what? They cried. You must be joking, Dad. I'm not joking, Mugglewump said. We're going to turn both Mr. and Mrs. Twit upside down with their legs in the air. Don't be ridiculous, said the roly-poly bird. How can we possibly turn those two maggoty old monsters upside down? We can, cried Mugglewump. We're going to make them stand on their heads for hours and hours, perhaps forever. Let them see what it feels like for a change. How? Said the roly-poly bird. Just tell me how. Mugglewump laid his head on one side, and a tiny twinkling little smile touched the corners of his mouth. Now and again, he said, but not very often, I have a brilliant idea. This is one of them. Follow me, my friends, follow me. He scampered off towards the house, and the three other monkeys and the roly-poly bird went after him. Buckets and paintbrushes, cried Mugglewump. That's what we want. Next, there are plenty in the workshed. Hurry up, everyone, get a bucket and a paintbrush. Inside Mr. Twit's workshed, there was an enormous barrel of hug-tight sticky glue, the stuff he used for catching birds. Fill your buckets, Mugglewump ordered. We're going into the big house. Mr. Twit had hidden the key to the front door under the mat, and Mugglewump had seen her doing it, and so it was easy for them to get in. In they went, all four monkeys with their buckets of sticky glue. Then came the roly-poly bird. Hope you guys have a really good day today. Make sure you can try and get outside, go for a bit of a walk around the block. Keep your distance though. And just make sure that you enjoy having time with your families. Hey, it's been awesome to hang out with you guys. I'm going to hang around for the chat a little bit if you want to just keep chatting with me. And we're going to take a break over the next 2 days because it's actually the weekend. But we'll catch up with you on Monday at the same time for more Tawa School story time. Look after yourselves. Ka kite anō.